What's good everyone on YouTube? It's me again, back with another video, and I hope everyone is safe and healthy at home or wherever you are in the world. Pretty crazy situation we're in right now. As you can probably tell, I'm starting to run out of shoes to talk about. If you look at my past two videos, those are shoes I've had for ages ago. But today we actually have a more recent shoe, and actually we've got a after-wear review of this shoe today. So during this quarantine, the only time I really get to go outside is the excuse of exercise, which is just me walking around my neighborhood. And for the past few days or week or so, I've been pretty much wearing the Yeezy 380 Mist pretty much exclusively. So give or take, this is probably been about a week since I started wearing this shoe. So this will be my after-wear review after a week with the Adidas Yeezy Boost 380 in the Mist colorway. So with that, I'll just pull out the shoe as it is right now. So unlike my last two afterwear reviews where we had leather shoes and, you know, leather tends to crease quite a lot and change quite a bit, the shoe itself honestly hasn't changed much after a week of wear. It's a knit upper, so knit doesn't really crease or anything like that. And the sole itself has the slightest bit of like heel drag starting to begin, like right at the sort of heel part where my foot strikes. But aside from that, honestly, there hasn't been much change to it aside from some dust on the midsole. So yeah, there's not going to be much in terms of showing the shoe and how much it's changed, because it really hasn't changed that much after a week. So yeah, now we'll just get into the pros and cons of what I like and dislike about this shoe. So let's get into it. The first pro to me for this shoe actually is the colorway itself. So honestly, right up to when I got this shoe in hand, I was so on the fence on whether I was gonna like this shoe or hate this shoe, because every photo I saw coming up on Instagram, depending on the color correction, would either make me love or hate the shoe. But once I finally got it in hand, and more importantly, once I wore it on feet in natural lighting, the colorway itself is actually extremely unique and beautiful in my opinion. Now, I have heard people equating this to like moldy cheese or moldy bread, and I can sort of see it. But honestly, like this sort of like copper brown laces and sort of stripe mark against these like more earth tone like olives, grays, and even like this bluish hue on the top, I just feel goes really well together, and it stands out and is subtle at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain. And honestly, even in the B-roll that I'm most likely going to show, I don't even think that like the camera itself is really going to pick up just how different and how specific this shoe looks in person. So honestly for me, in person, I can say that the colorway is super hot fire, and that would be my first pro for this shoe. A very nice colorway. My second pro for this shoe would actually just be the ventilation on this shoe. So as you can see on both sides of the sneaker, we've got this sort of like more clear plastic that they use for like the stripe mark. And then within the plastic, we've got a whole bunch of perforations. It's almost like Swiss cheese. I guess the moldy cheese equation is not too bad. But because of all these added perforations, plus the fact that it's a knit upper, it actually makes this shoe incredibly breathable. I've never had any problems with ventilation, and in fact my feet remain pretty cool when I'm walking outside. Even on some of the hotter days, it's actually quite nice. So I can't imagine this being very good for the winter, but as like a summer shoe, this shoe is absolutely killer. And yeah, that would be my second pro for this shoe, extremely good ventilation. My third and final pro for this shoe would actually just be the midsole shape itself. Now, it does have Boost in it, and that's the same with the 350, and they're both comfortable in that sense with its nice squishy softness, not exactly bounciness, but it's just nice and soft to stand in. But the main advantage I find with the 380 is actually the heel sweep in the shoe. So because of this heel sweep, it makes the shoe feel a lot more dynamic when you're walking with it. And actually it reminds me of like, I guess like an Adidas Yeezy version of something like the Nike Zoomfly or like the Vaporfly, where you've got this extremely aggressive shape on it. Now admittedly, like the Vaporflies and the Zoomflies have like a carbon fiber plate, so they actually have a very strong rocker feel to it. but just this heel sweep itself already gives it quite a nice rocking feel to it. And for walking, I don't know about running, but for walking, this is actually an absolute treat to walk in. So that would be my third pro for this shoe. A really nice midsole shape that actually accommodates walking very nicely. Ooh, 3 pros, and they actually were kind of decent. Let's go into the cons. My first con for this shoe is, despite the fact that this traction has been upgraded with this like sort of herringbone organic shape, the first problem I have with this shoe is actually the traction itself is very squeaky. So after already wearing it for a week, I would have expected maybe the rubber to shave off a little bit and the sound to start reducing or something like that. But no, this traction is still very squeaky, and it's a really high-pitched squeak as well. So whenever you're inside like stores, wooden floors, tiles, that sort of thing, the shoe, it's whenever you come to like a stop, is super squeaky. Now, admittedly, you're not really going to be trying to do like absolute dime stops with this shoe, but I thought that would be just something to mention as a con for this shoe. Pretty squeaky traction. My second pro for this shoe would actually be the sizing of the shoe. So I've heard online a lot of people either say true to size to half size up. This is my personal opinion, but I think true to size is absolutely the wrong way to go. I definitely think you need to go half size up in this shoe just because of how aggressively shaped the heel is. It sort of pushes your foot into the toe box part of the shoe. And even then, at a half size up, just overall, the shape of the shoe isn't really that accommodating. It pushes your foot really far into the toe box, but there's also a lot of vertical space as well. And the thing is, the laces aren't really going to do much unless you crank it down intensely. And as you can see, I've already pulled the laces a little bit tighter and it started to crinkle the upper, so I don't want to pull it any tighter. But that sort of just tells me that there's maybe a bit too much vertical space in the shoe, and yet there's not enough length in this shoe. So again, it just seems like a running theme with Yeezy, but like the sizing on the shoe is always really odd. And maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe Kanye has a weird shaped foot or something like that, but they just never seem to fit true to size, no problem. There's always something wrong with them. So that would be my second con for this shoe, just strange sizing. My third con for this shoe would actually be the sock collar itself. So for me, at least, the sock collar is an issue more from an aesthetic standpoint rather than a comfort standpoint. I have heard online that people who wear like no-show socks find that this sock collar sort of chafes against their leg. I typically wear crew socks or like just sort of like higher top socks, so I don't seem to run into that issue. However, a sock collar, once upon a time I was actually a massive fan of sock collared shoes, but I think the more I've changed my style and like sort of experimented with different types of pants and whatnot, I found that sock collar shoes aren't exactly the most versatile when it comes to long pants, and I almost exclusively wear long pants. When you have a sock collar shoe, you can't really have your pants sitting on top of the shoe or, sort of bunching or stacking on top of the sort of shoe collar because there's absolutely no width to it. So a lot of times your pants will always sort of drape over the shoe. And I found that like with this shoe, it doesn't look particularly good if it's completely swallowed in a pair of pants. So this shoe honestly really only looks good in things like joggers or really slim fitting jeans, because even regular cut jeans or like wide leg pants completely swallow up the heel of this shoe. And I just don't think for this particular shoe that's the aesthetic that is ideal for the shape of this shoe, because it's got this sort of like sporty kind of vibe to it with this really aggressive heel sweep and shape. But yeah, I would say like in some ways like the Yeezy 350 with the wider opening can make it a little more versatile with other pants, but even then those require pretty thin pants as well. But with a sock collar, you're always stuck with pants that kind of go over the shoe, or you have to wear pants that hover above the shoe. So it just sort of limits your ability to style the shoes. So that would be my third con for this shoe, the sock collar itself. Really squeezing out 3 pros and cons, but we have to do it for the sake of equality. But with that, we've come to the end of another video. So I'd love to hear what you guys think of the Yeezy 380 in the Mist colorway. And if you do happen to own this shoe, what would be your favorite thing about this shoe and your least favorite thing about this shoe? As an overall thing, I actually still really like this shoe, and it's mostly because of its comfort factor and its colorway. I just think the colors and the comfort are absolutely killer in my opinion, and it far outweighs most of the cons that I've mentioned. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Like the video if you like the video. Ooh, that's my old outro. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section down below. And if you're into more sneaker content, dance, vlogs, not really doing much vlogs because of the quarantine, consider subscribing to the channel. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. And I'll catch you guys in another video.